As a handmaid, they are nothing more than breeding tools for the high-ranking commanders. They have no dignity, they have no freedom. To prevent them from escaping, they are forced to wear red robes. Captured handmaids are sometimes executed on the spot. Others are spared only for their reproductive function. Just days after June completed the ceremony, the commander summoned her alone late one night. Although it broke the rules, June still went as ordered. Unexpectedly, the commander only played a game of Scrabble with her. Before she left, he held her hand in an unsettlingly intimate way. Back in her room, June felt relieved that her commander seemed relatively kind. But soon after, she was taken away by the Guardians for questioning. Her walking partner had been caught while trying to escape. To determine whether June had similar intentions, the Guardians interrogated her. Hearing the commotion, the wife rushed in immediately.
No, she's pregnant!
She stood firmly in front of June to protect her. Only then did the Guardians back off. It turned out the wife had learned from the servants that June's period was several days late. She believed June must be pregnant. She ordered the servants to take special care of June and even brought her to noble houses to practice how to hold a baby. But in truth, June was not pregnant at all. Her period was simply delayed. The wife's warm smile vanished instantly.
You will stay here, and you will not leave this room. Do you understand me? Do you understand me?
She dragged June into a room and locked her inside for an entire week. June eventually collapsed and was found unconscious by a servant. After she woke up, she begged the wife to let her out. But the first thing she was made to do was attend training to increase the chances of conception. The Guardian told them plainly that handmaids only have value if they give birth to children for the commanders. Their children elevate the commander's status, and in return, the handmaids may receive rewards. To obtain information about her daughter, June agreed to undergo the ceremony once again. This time, however, the problem lay with the commander. There was no chance for her to conceive at all. The doctor examined the woman and found that her infertility was caused by the man. However, the doctor's solution was to personally help her get pregnant.
I can help you. It'll only take a few minutes, honey.
But June was only a handmaid. In this country, handmaids are merely tools for reproduction. If pregnancy failed in the commander's household, everyone would blame the handmaid. No one would ever think it was the commander's fault. June knew that if she failed to conceive, she would be sent to the colonies as a slave. So June used the opportunity of going out for lessons to act. Together with her companion, she kidnapped an ant. They took the ant to the basement. They forced her to take off her clothes. June's companion put on the ant's uniform. She then prepared to escape with June. With the disguise of the ant's clothing, their journey went smoothly. But the streets were filled with heavily armed soldiers. The walls were covered with hanging bodies. Although terrified, they still reached the train station. There, they found that all the direction signs had been removed. Not knowing which way to go, the companion decided to ask a guard. As soon as she left, June was left alone. She was quickly discovered by the armed soldiers.
Where's your partner? You shouldn't be out alone. Can I see your ID card?
As the train was about to arrive, June knew she could not escape. She could only signal with her eyes for her companion to get on the train. Her companion eventually escaped safely. June was captured and taken back to the Red Center. Because she refused to reveal her companion's whereabouts, she was tortured by the aunts. After June returned to the commander's house, the hostess did not force her to conceive again. The hostess even proposed another idea.
Maybe he can't. I was thinking maybe we could try another way. I'm sorry, I don't understand what you mean. I mean with another man.
To June, this idea was deeply humiliating, but she was only a reproductive tool in the commander's household. She had no choice but to obey the hostess's suggestion. The woman handed her baby to her companion. She then jumped off the bridge. Because she was only a handmaid, she was nothing more than a breeding tool for the wealthy. She had just given birth to a child for a rich family. Not only did she have to respectfully give the baby to them, she was not allowed to show any attachment. Because she had to move on to the next household to give birth again. On the very night she arrived at the new house, she was arranged for the ceremony. But she could not accept such an inhumane system. She jumped off the bed midway. She refused the so-called impregnation ritual. She had just lost her child, and she was immediately forced to conceive again. She was not a machine. Mentally broken, she curled up in the corner and sobbed. In the early hours of the morning, Janine secretly took her baby out. She stood on the bridge, ready to go to heaven together. The aunt quickly called Janine's friend June. Everyone demanded that she hand over the baby. They only cared about the baby's safety. No one cared about Janine's feelings. They even said she was mentally unstable.
She's not well.
I was well enough to suck your cock. I did every fucked up thing you wanted. All the freaky shit she'd never do because—
Janine's words completely exposed the ugliness of the rich. They only used reputation as an excuse to satisfy their desires. Seeing that no one could persuade Janine, the aunt let June step in. June looked at Janine standing on the bridge. Her eyes were filled with despair toward the world. June imagined with her what life used to be like. But now Janine had lost an eye, and she had to give up the child she had just given birth to. She no longer had the courage to go on. June could only ask her to think about the baby.
Janine, you have to do what's best for your daughter now. You have to give her the chance to grow up.
But no one gave Janine any real choice. She looked at her daughter wrapped in blankets. She handed the baby to June. Then she jumped into the freezing river. June watched Janine fall into the water. It was a scene she had imagined countless times. For her daughter, she had endured everything. But this time, she chose to fight back.
Do you understand me?
Just because she wasn't pregnant, she was locked in a room by the mistress. As a handmaid, they had to regularly undergo the ceremony of conception. They existed only to bear children for powerful families. They were not allowed any resistance at all. Otherwise, they would face severe punishment. June was exhausted by this kind of life. She tried to escape, but failed. After being captured and brought back, the cruel matron tied up June's hands and feet. June was on the verge of a breakdown. Not only did she fail to escape, she also had to endure brutal torture. The matron pinned down June's feet. Her feet were beaten until they were bloody and mangled. Unable to walk, she was dragged onto the bed. Even so, when the commander summoned her, June still forced a smile and accompanied him. June knew that the commander might hold clues to her escape. At that moment, she suddenly recalled being locked in the room. She had noticed some Latin words carved on the wall. She guessed they were left behind by the previous girl. This time, June seized the opportunity. She played on the commander's emotions. Through constant probing, the powerful man finally revealed the truth.
Actually, it's probably only funny if you're a 12-year-old boy studying Latin. It doesn't really translate. It's something like, don't let the bastards grind you down.
It turned out June had overthought everything. The previous girl had not left any clues for her at all.
She killed herself. Hung herself from the ceiling. I don't know.
The commander then expressed deep regret about what happened to the previous girl. He claimed he truly didn't know about her fate. This could only mean one thing. The wife wanted to teach June a harsh lesson. Everything had been carefully arranged in advance. After talking with the commander all night, something unexpected happened. The next day, June was released from confinement. She went to stand beside the wife. Filled with resentment, June imagined countless ways the wife might die and go to heaven.
How hard would I have to press?
This was the most inhumane punishment of all. At the execution ground, every handmaid was given a stone. They were ordered to stand in a circle. They were told to throw the stones at their fellow handmaid, Janine. A few days earlier, Janine had jumped into the river. She was rescued. She failed to reach heaven. Janine was sentenced to death by stoning. Anyone who refused to take part would be beaten severely. Even so, the handmaids were not afraid. They still held on to their humanity. June gathered her courage and dropped her stone.
I'm sorry, Aunt Lydia.
The other handmaids followed her lead. They did not know what consequences Aunt Lydia would bring down on them for this act of defiance. As soon as June returned home, the wife slapped her to the ground. She had discovered that her husband had been secretly meeting with June. She no longer wanted to share her husband with this lowly handmaid. She took out a pregnancy test and ordered June to take it immediately.
And pray that God makes you worthy in some way.
Then she knelt before the test and prayed. She prayed that June would be pregnant. That way her husband would stop bothering June for a while, and she could claim the child in June's womb. Soon, her attitude toward June completely changed. The test showed 2 lines. June was truly pregnant. That night, the wife told her husband not to touch June again. But the husband said the fertility program was something she herself had proposed.
You brought lust and temptation back into this house. On your back and on your knees. If I've sinned, then you led me to it.